What is up, Renaissance crew? My name is Devon DaVinci, and you're watching DaVinci Reacts. Now, I wanted to get this little disclosure or disclaimer out immediately. There's a good chance you might not ever see this video. I might just be talking to myself right now, in which case I feel stupid because I'm already talking to myself, and the only validation I get for not feeling crazy is the fact that I know that there's people on the other side of this camera watching it. So if there's nobody there, I'm just talking to a goddamn camera. Now, the reason you might not see this is because this is a reaction that was requested to me by, let me see. This was requested to me by Alex Antonovici, I'm sorry. I'm not good with foreign names, or at least to me, foreign names. You can find them at Alex_ANTONOVICI. And they wanted me to react to a segment on Conan O'Brien with Bill Burr called Women Are Overrated. Now, the reason why I say you won't be able to see, you might not be able to see this, is because this is a reaction to a Conan O'Brien clip, which is already on the Team Coco YouTube channel. And usually when network shows have YouTube channels and things like that, they're very strict on their content ID. So it's very possible this could get flagged and blocked. Now, if it gets copyright claims, I have no problem with that. Matter of fact, I would rather that happen. That way they can at least get some money off this video also. But if it gets blocked, then I have a problem because this video clip is less than 5 minutes, and I cannot chop up a 5-minute clip. So if it was longer, I would just chop it up and re-release it. But because it's so short, I can't chop it up. So if it does get blocked, it will just be blocked forever. Maybe I can send this as like a personal video to Alex. That way, if it does get blocked, at least you can see me give this reaction. But I can't promise that this is going to go out. So let's go ahead and check this out, and let the chips fall wherever they may whenever I upload this. So let's go.
Your show, F is for Family, I relate to it because it's about parenting in the 70s, and that's, that was when I was parented like you. What do you think of parents now? How do you compare them to parents in the 70s?
Oh, it's just completely, the kids have so much power. It's like ridiculous. Like half of these kids, I'm like, I look and I just have what happened to me. And I'm like looking at a kid and be like, this kid's about ready to get punted across the grocery store. And it just never happens.
Right.
They just don't get hit.
Yeah.
And I think it's hurting
You're
this
mad?
country.
You're mad? Wait a minute.
No, like,
let's get this. You're mad that children are not being hit.
This should be the threat of it. Half of it was just that, look, it was just your dad was acting like he was going to do it. He never did it, but your mother did. And because she was a woman, it was like, okay, because it was like, hey, you let a girl beat you up, you kind of felt emasculated.
Yeah.
We had a rule, like, a lot of the stuff that I look at from when I was a kid that actually kind of made sense in a way would now be considered like abuse, I guess. Like when I was a kid, if you didn't finish your supper, as we called it.
Supper, yeah.
Yeah, my mother was just like, well, you're gonna finish, she would just wrap it in cellophane and you just picked up where you left off for breakfast. Like a blue collar job. Like you take the shovel out of the hole and just start digging it again. So, yeah, I remember one night we had cube steaks, which is like one of the toughest pieces of meat. I don't know if you guys.
I hated cube steaks.
So like Asian infused.
My mother used to make cube steaks with gravy on top, and I just never liked it. I don't know what it was, but it was like it had this like, I don't know if it was like this breading or something on top. It didn't taste like just regular steak. It tasted like she put like some type of breading or something, and then she would like smother it in gravy, and I hated it because I already hate stringy food. That's one of the reasons why I don't really eat steak, because it kind of has like a stringy texture. I like my meat to just like be very, I don't know, like when I bite it and I pull it, there should be nothing in between. It should just be space between me, my mouth, and the goddamn piece of meat that I'm eating. Pause in case somebody takes some weird innuendo out of that. But yeah, that's why I'd rather eat like ground beef, like hamburgers or chicken or something like that. There's not like this like resistance with the meat.
Wagyu beef, everybody's eating that crap now, but cube steak was like, they literally had to hit it with a hammer to make it like edible. And so we were having cube steaks, and I forget, my little brother was still in a high chair, and he couldn't finish his. So my mother goes, all right, well, you're just gonna have to eat it for breakfast. And that was like 8 hours away, which was like half his life. So he's like, all right, I'll take that deal.
And then when you throw it in the microwave, it's never as good quality as it was when you first cooked it. You throw it in the microwave, now it's either too hard, or the meat got more tougher, or it has this weird taste to it. Oh man, it got worse as time went on, and then they still expected you to eat it.
So the next morning, I remember we were having waffles. My mother always made Sunday breakfast. So we had all these waffles, eggs, bacon, this whole layout. My brother was looking at half-eaten cube steaks and a little mound of green bean casserole. And he goes, so he looked at my mom, he goes, Mom, can I have a waffle? And she goes, no, you got to finish your supper. He's like, well, after I finish my supper, then can I have a waffle? She goes, no, that is your breakfast. And he goes, oh, Mom, I hate you. And my dad, without looking up, took a full glass of milk and threw it in his face. Swear to God.
You know what the dad was doing, right? He was giving the kid a preemptive strike. That way the mother wouldn't. The dad knew that the mom was going to do something much worse. So it's kind of like if you ever seen like certain mob movies or something, and they got like an informant, and like he has like a partner or something. It reminds me of what was it? Blue Streak with Martin Lawrence, and it had Dave Chappelle in it, and like Dave Chappelle they were meeting up with this like contact, and it was like some type of drug deal or something, and Dave Chappelle just started saying stupid stuff and like giving hints that they were police informants. So what Martin did was he like punched him in the nose just to like not only just to get him to shut up, but also to like show to other people like, hey, I don't play that shit. But what he was doing was he was punching them so that like if they discovered that they were informants, they would have done something much worse. That's pretty much what the dad was doing. Smart move by the dad, by the way.
This is what kills me.
You just saved that kid's life.
What kills me.
You want everyone today to have as miserable a childhood as you had.
No, but it was kind of funny. We know what's hilarious was my mother just popped up and just immediately started cleaning up, and my dad just kept eating. Like he didn't like the roles were defined back then. Now the guy has to throw the milk, he has to clean it up while telling his wife she's brave, just sitting there, like whatever that is. Can you hear
You're
it?
so funny. You're the most hilarious one in the world.
Women are so overrated, right? We went from we went from not listening to them to now it's ridiculous. Like that believe women. It's like all of them. How about 85%? I'll give you 87%, all right? But that last 13% that keys your car, lights your shit on fire, and puts a family pet in a pot of stew.
Who put a pet in a pot of stew?
Glenn Close.
Oh, okay, all right. I think it was a separately boiled.
You know what I miss? I miss tougher parenting and evidence. Those are the things that I miss from my childhood.
Evidence.
And evidence.
Yeah.
You mean
due process?
Right.
Somebody says something happened, and then someone else goes, well, I said it happened this way, like the old gumshoe shows. Then they had to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't exist now on social media.
Let me go back real quick.
Yeah, that doesn't exist now on social media. It's just
right.
like it's just frontier justice.
Right.
You feel how nervous everybody just got in here? The fact that I just suggested that there should be due process?
Yeah. That is something I will agree that the climate that we're in right now, and I hate saying PC culture and social justice warrior because I feel like those terms are so damn played out at this point. Like it's gotten to the point where now like the people that complain about people getting overly offended are the people getting overly offended because these people are getting overly offended. You know what I'm saying? So I hate using those terms. But he does have a point when it comes to like just evidence. Like nowadays, people just like assume shit about other people, even though they don't really have a right to assume it, except for the shit they should be assuming. Like, now I've already told you guys my opinions about the Me Too movement. I believe that it's important and that it's needed, and that I would say like 90% of all women that usually find themselves in these situations tend to be telling the truth. But the idea that you automatically I don't care if it's a woman or a man. If there is, you should always look for the evidence. See, but the problem was back in the day, nobody would look at the evidence. They would just immediately just brush off the woman because either the guy was powerful or there was this weird thing about like, I think it had more so to do with if you condemn somebody that, usually it's someone close to you. If you condemn someone close to you, you have to shut them out of your life, and then there's always like a 1.1% chance that they could be innocent, and you just threw an innocent person out of your life. That's the reason why there was like such a problem with like, usually like if a kid gets molested in a family or something like that, and like the mom or someone or the dad or whatever, like they wouldn't believe the kid because it has like, because the person had like this family tied to them, and they were kind of afraid of throwing them out. I mean, it's like there's two extremes. Back then, people just flat out didn't bother to investigate, and now people will make a damn decision before they've had a chance to investigate. It seems to me like the only thing that makes sense that nobody's done is actually investigate. If there's an accusation, don't automatically jump and assume the person is guilty, just do an investigation. But at the same time, if someone is accused of doing something, don't just automatically brush off the victim like, oh, well, you know, they're just crazy and they're just trying to plant something on this person. Actually investigate and look at the evidence. That's it. I was about to get a little bit political. I don't care about getting political, but I don't want to turn this into that type of video. Maybe I will after it's over. But let's go ahead and finish it.
This guy's talking crazy, man. Did he just join ISIS? Yeah, this is what it is.
No, what I'm saying.
And then the woos that they agreed, but they didn't agree when it counted.
We'll digitally add woos, don't worry. We have the woo machine. You are way too angry. 50 is still relatively young. You have the anger of a 110-year-old man. All these telephones.
I can't argue.
Oops. I accidentally clicked another video. Whatever. Goddamn, stop. Okay. It's over anyway, so I clicked another video by accident. My computer is acting funny, so it just kept on rolling even though I told it to stop. But yeah, I was talking about the evidence. Now, what I'm going to say is probably going to ruffle some people's feathers, but I ask that you hear me out throughout the entire thing and understand where I'm coming from before you address it. I'd have no issue listening to opposite opinions. I made that perfectly clear in my Bill Burr video when he's I'm sick of Michelle Obama. I'll leave a link for it somewhere where I give some political views at the end, and I've had people that have agreed with me, and I've had people that didn't agree with me. And every single time I've had a conversation with somebody, at the end we always had respectful, conversation, and usually it just ends with us agreeing to disagree with each other. That's it. Just having a normal discussion. I know a normal discussion on YouTube sounds crazy, but it's being achieved. It's possible. I remember when the whole Brett Kavanaugh stuff was going on, and don't get me wrong, personally, I think he did it. I do. I think he did it. But I wasn't like I felt like there should be an investigation first, and then whatever the results come back, then I can go ahead and make my decision. Like I said, it felt like he acted like somebody that might have done something wrong, because usually where I come from, if you start getting real belligerent and acting like erratic and, loud and stuff like that when someone accuses you of something, usually that means you did it. But in the legal system, that does not mean guilt. So you can't use that to justify, oh, well, he's acting crazy, so that means he didn't do it. You never know how some people react when they get accused of something. I've heard people say, oh, you act a little bit too calm and cool to be, when you're accused, you might have done it. But then I've heard the exact opposite reaction. So you never know. What I didn't like about that whole situation, though, was how both sides treated the other side. So the people on the left usually were the ones that were condemning Kavanaugh, but they were like talking about how much of a monster he was and this, that, and the other, despite the fact that we haven't really had an investigation to look into whether or not he did it. It was just, people going based off of his attitude and just automatically like jumping on it and accusing him of something that we haven't yet had evidence that he did yet. And the same thing goes for the people on the right who really pissed me off, because like this woman came forward with this story. There's no evidence that she's lying. There's no evidence that, you can sit here and come up with, okay, well, she didn't really say anything for a while, and that doesn't mean lying. Especially when it involves somebody that usually it has like a reputation or is somewhat popular. Usually a lot of people will wait until, that person has lost a little bit of influence before they come up with their investigation. Hell, if anything, she should have waited longer, because you see how the reaction she got when she came out. All she did was she let out her story, and before there was even an investigation or whether or not she's telling the truth or lying, you had people online already calling her a bitch and a hoe and a whore and this, that, and the other, and it's like, you don't even know her or what the fuck her story like really is. Like, you're just coming out here calling her all these names and shit, and she hasn't even been fucking, and there hasn't even been a trial yet. Like, sit back and wait. I don't get why everybody thinks that. It's usually like people want to have their cake and eat it too. I have no idea where that term came from, but it seems like it makes sense to me what I'm about to say. The same people that'll sit there and accuse the legal system or whatever of, oh, you need to wait until all the evidence is presented and you're not and you're innocent until proven guilty and this, that, and the other. But then when it comes to the side that accused them, it's like, oh, but they're lying and this is and it's bullshit and they're just jealous and this, that, and the other. And it's like, wait until the investigation. That's all. Wait until the investigation. You can kind of say the same thing about the whole Trump situation, the whole Russia and the Mueller probe. You got so many people saying that he already did it, and even though there's evidence that the people in the campaign around him were involved in some way, you already have indictments and convictions. So the people that say that's fake, well, they're already outside of reality, because there's been conviction. Not only has there been convictions, there's been plea deals. So that means that they've admitted guilt. And then you have people on the other side who are saying that, like he did it. Well, I think I already said that. People saying he did it even though there's no evidence that he's actually tied to it. It's just the campaign so far that has been tied to it. Now, personally, I think that he may have done something, because there might not be evidence that he did anything, but he's definitely acting like someone that might have done something. All I know is if I was looking into an investigation of someone and then I found out that person has fired the people that was in charge of the investigation and has come out and just constantly talking shit about the investigation, despite the fact that the investigation isn't finished and we don't know which way it leans. Like, it'd be one thing if there was stuff steadily coming out like, oh yeah, and we have more evidence that Donald Trump did this and Donald Trump did that. The only people that's been coming out on the investigation are people around Donald Trump, not Donald Trump himself yet. So it's funny to me that Donald Trump is acting all like belligerent and crazy and stuff, and even though nothing has come out against him yet. So it makes it seem like, okay, well, it seems like you're expecting something to come out about you. Like I said, just wait until the investigation, let the investigation carry through, and then after all the facts are presented and said, then you come out and make your judgments. But until then, just hold back on it. That goes with everything. Hold back on judgments and wait. That goes with the Me Too movement. That goes with the Believe Women movement, or whatever the hell it was. That goes with absolutely everything, every single issue. Wait until the end of the investigation, and then you can make your judgments. It seems like people have just forgotten about that. Maybe that's just something I missed from my childhood. Anyway, that has been my reaction, and that has been my commentary at the end. I loved watching that segment. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Bill Burr. I did intentionally pause it a few times and try to leave commentary, because even though I'm not going to chop it up, maybe this will be a way of getting it on the YouTube without getting blocked. It may still get copyright claimed, but like I said, I have no issue with that. I'm going to go ahead and move on to something else. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share. And I'm the original Renaissance man, Devon DaVinci. So I hope to see you in my future video. And I'm signing out. Deuces.